So we went to listen to Sarko for the first time when we were in Tulsa at the psychedelic symposium called Open Plains. But it was not the first time I had heard Sarko. So if you kind of get as excited about this guy as I did, there's lots of podcasts where you can listen to him over and over again. What I've done. So, but when you talk about angels and people who are just pure of intent, that's Taryn, that's Sarko, it's Angie, that's Brand. It's everybody who's been talking about it. That's been one of the guiding lights and speakers that we've been choosing. These people who really have that purity of intent. Sarko Gergerian is a pioneering law enforcement professional with over 15 years of experience at the intersection of public safety, mental health advocacy, and psychedelic self-care. As a decorated officer and wellness advocate, he has championed trauma-informed practices in policing and helped ensure that first responders have access to mental and emotional support. Gergerian's advocacy is grounded in his personal exploration of psychedelic-assisted self-care and its potential to build resilience in high-stress professions. He has promoted open dialogue, harm reduction, and religious freedom through both policy work and public education. Notably, he supported Massachusetts Ballot Question 4 and successfully petitioned his own department for a religious accommodation, setting a national precedent. His story is featured in How to Change Your Mind, which is on Netflix, on episode 3, and his work has earned recognition at every level for bridging law enforcement, mental health, and cognitive liberty. Through speaking, policy engagement, and outreach, Sarko Gergerian is helping to reimagine public safety by the healing community. Please help me welcome Sarko.
Thank you. May I use that? May I use that? Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. Thank you so much. What a nice introduction. And guys, end of the day, right? I'm bringing up the back. I really appreciate you being here. It seemed like it went by in a flash. I mean, we're all into this topic. You're all still here. So that's wonderful. It went by so quickly. I want to start off by thanking you for being here. And thank you for placing your attention on me. You're sharing your energy with me. I feel it in my heart. It's precious. So I like to thank people for sharing their power. Yeah, this segment's titled Bridging Law Enforcement, Psychedelics, Self-Care, and Community. Self-care, right? Everything here is intentional. I think we miss the mark sometimes. We don't talk about how these things can help us stay well, right? It's almost safer to talk about how these things can be used to treat you when you're unwell, right? Self-care, little dangerous territory. Could that possibly mean recreational? Well, we can't have fun in American society. We have to wake up, work 9 to 5, 40 years, and die. Oh, man. Psychedelic self-care and bridging law enforcement into this world and the importance of community. So a little bit more about me. It'll be brief, but I think I'm going to play a video after this as well. I am from Boston, Mass. I grew up in Massachusetts. I'm an American Armenian with Greek ancestry. First generation. I was born here. My parents are immigrants. I was lucky enough to end up at Northeastern University. I studied religion, philosophy, and psychology. Then I went to Salem State while I was a police officer, studied counseling psychology. And upon their suggestion to take a theoretical orientation and run with it, I ended up at Pacifica Graduate Institute studying depth psychology. In that process, I did the one-year program at Sound Mind Institute. I graduated the MAPS program for MDMA. Holos is up there. Angie, where are you, right? Psychedelic-assisted therapy, ketamine. Palo Santo is up there. And right, all those terms that we saw today, entheogens, empathogens, psychedelics. I say all of this because it came into play when luckily I was helped to find Taryn. And I went to my police chief and I said, I'm in a little bit of a conundrum here. I'm going to ask something you've probably never been asked before, and if you say no, I'm going to have to go to court. I didn't say it aggressively. Did I seem aggressive right now? Right? No. I'll share how it landed, right? He said, I understand that you will have to do that, Sarko. Right? I'm not going to be able to back off. There's something mysterious compelling me to have to ask this risky question. And if I get a no, that same mysterious thing that's compelling me is going to push me to court. Right? Okay, trauma came up a lot today. Here's mine. I'm the carrier of transgenerational trauma. As an Armenian, my people experienced genocide in 1915 after waves of assault in previous years, forced displacement. I am a stranger in a strange land, a very welcoming land to me and my people. But I am on land where other people were displaced, and there's tension there. I'm a proud American, but I hold that tension because it affects me, it changes me. It allows me to hear other people's stories and value their perspective, even if it doesn't match mine. Psychedelics and deep work with psychedelics helped me get there. Story slam. So imagine this. A young lady, pregnant, child in her womb, travels from Egypt through Italy to the United States of America. She lands at Boston Logan International and establishes legal residency in Chelsea, Massachusetts. Pushed by a vision and a dream to build a family in a free land and give birth to an American. That child is me. I was born into an Armenian American with Greek ancestry family. They were fiercely protective and supportive. They kept the stories about genocide, murder, death, rape, and theft away from me. But some stories live beyond words. I'm 5 or 6, young enough to dream, old enough to remember. Dreams isn't exactly appropriate. It's more like nightmares or night terrors. They're happening quite frequently. And every time when they do, I wake up anxious, heart pounding, beating fast. I run down the hallway, kick in the door, dive into my parents' bed like a missile, and I explode, waking my father up before he had to get up at 4 in the morning to go to a fridge in the north end of Boston and cut meat to help build a family from the bottom up again. The dreams always begin the same way. I'm next to a burning village in mountainous territory, lightly forested. I'm being chased, followed by an energy, a force. I know if it gets to me, it's going to destroy me. It's going to eat me. It's going to devour me. As these dream scenes play out over the course of weeks and months and years, it makes itself known to me. It turns out it's a wolf. More like an undead zombie wolf, something likened to, you know, Kate Beckinsale and the Underworld series, those wolves with glowing red eyes and saber-toothed teeth, but I wasn't in patent leather. And I hadn't become a trained killer yet. Over time, as I ran, I made my way to a tower, a stone tower with a spiral staircase that reached to the heavens. I would run past locked door after locked door. Couldn't find refuge or safety in any of them. None of them would open. I end up at the roof deck of this tower. It's in the sky, it's in the heavens, and I have a choice. Be devoured, ripped limb from limb, eaten like a lamb, or jump. I jump. From the heavens, back to Mother Earth. I awaken before I hit the ground, thankfully. And I never have those dreams again. But I carry the wolf with me. I carry the wolf with me everywhere. Its pressure, its presence is always there. Jump with me into my 30s. I become a cop. I have a background at this point in religion, philosophy, and psychology. I'm not carrying your typical perspective. I think differently. I start working with people. Mental health challenges, not weakness. Substance use disorder, not moral failing. They're people, my people. I come to recognize that policing can become hijacked by industry interests, moving officers from guardianship into enforcement, making them unwittingly protect corporate profits over the protection and service of individuals pursuing life, liberty, and their happiness. I speak up. I find audience in a chief. He listens to me. He sees me. This man sends me to the International Association of Chiefs of Police Conference in Orlando, Florida. The year Dr. Rick Doblin is there. I go to his presentation and I see the results of the research that MAPS has done, spent decades doing. I'm trembling. I walk up to Rick. I put my hand out. I say, "Hi, I'm Sarko. I need to help." After he finds out I'm also a therapist, he says, "The best way to help is to become a psychedelic-assisted therapist, an MDMA-assisted therapist." What? What are you talking about? I touch base with him. Jump with me again. I'm in the Carolinas. I'm walking up to the research laboratory of Michael and Annie Mithofer. They let me in with big smiles on their face. This is not your typical laboratory. To the left is this sofa bed thing that looks so comfortable, I want to crawl into it right when I see it. To my right is a giant hand-drawn gorilla that was done by Stanislav Grof. I take a look at the bookshelf, the bookcase, and it has almost every single one of Carl Jung's collected works. This is a special place. I'm anxious. My heart's beating. It's pumping fast. It's beating hard. Michael extends a bowl in front of me. I look in and I see, I'm not making this up, a blue pill. Yes, Morpheus. Yes, I'll take the blue pill. Thankfully, I did. The room is flooded like water, but it's love. When the MDMA hits, I feel like I'm floating in love. I'm sure they played a part in it, because that's the type of people they are. But then, I have access to gratitude. Not your typical type of gratitude. Gratitude that's big enough to be able to hold the good and the bad. the joyous, and the terror. It's huge. It's multidimensional. I have a mystical experience. This is psycho-spiritual religious work. Jump with me again. After that happens, work that I did with permission, everyone in my community and my family knew I was going to do that. I find myself at an entheogenic church in Texas. Yep, you heard that correctly. An entheogenic church in Texas. Once again, with permission, in religious ceremony. The mushrooms, they drop me into the collective unconscious. I see my complexes pulsing with energy, spilling into one another and spilling over onto my family and friends and community and my neighbors. The toad dissolves my ego, complete ego death and rebirth. This is a mystical experience. It is psycho-spiritual religious work. It's sacred, it's important, and it's protected. All the while, I'm aware of who or what? The wolf. It's there. It comes with me. It influences me. It pushes me. It's still pushing. Jump forward. In time and place, I'm in Colorado now. A place that has decriminalized these sacred compounds and practices. I'm in the mountains. It's winter, it's cold, it's lightly forested. Literally, I'm in the mountains. I walk into a cabin and meet with a shamanic practitioner. I'm in an integration process. She puts her hand on my heart and her other hand on my crown. I'm lying down and asks me what I want to do. What do you want to do? I said I need to tell it that I don't hate it, and I need to let it know I will not kill it. She says, when you're ready, why don't you do that? So I turn around, and the wolf's there. Big teeth, glowing eyes, nasty breath. But I'm fully capable of kicking its ass now. And I say, I don't hate you. I will not kill you. And I embrace it. It dissolves. And for the first time in my life, I feel connected to my heart. And I discover a sense of peace that I have never had in my life. Thank you. I did that to be naked. Because that's how I feel when I listen to that in audience, with people, in community, with people. And I think it shares a little bit about me. Something beyond the surface, something beyond the resume and the experiences, something transpersonal, something inside. Thank you. I mentioned something in that, the enforcer, transformation to peace officer, and aspiration of guardian. This evolution has been talked about in the Obama administration's 21st century policing document, briefly, but it's there. But way before that, it was in Plato's Republic. A vital role that would be played by people within a city-state to ensure the safety of the citizens and carry the burden of sustaining, protecting, and maintaining the system. But the enforcer, this is my definition, a highly funded, reinforced, rewarded, and codified role from the heights of the federal government all the way down to and through the states and to city and town police departments, through laws, policies and procedures, and rules and regulations. A type of top-down control from the feds, right? Now I say highly funded, reinforced, rewarded, and codified because that's what we're contending with here. That can actually work to stifle the evolution, right? And what is it stifling? Protection and service as a core foundation that we purport to have built from, right? But I ask you, protect and serve who? Are we protecting and serving everybody equally? Protect and serve what? Are we protecting and serving life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and religious freedom? Or are we protecting something else? When? How are these interactions on the street playing out? Who's getting caught in the net? Who has to become the carrier of a scarlet letter for the rest of their lives? Right? Where is this happening? Why is this happening? How is this happening? I think we're talking about that in this symposium from the beginning to the end. Right? Now here's a problem that I see. Crimes with no harmed other. Right? Criminalizing self-directed behavior with no harmed other, to me, this is my thing, right, is a type of dehumanization and othering that objectifies human beings. Right? When we police crimes that have no harmed other, we set the stage for deep trauma, community mistrust, and the enslavement of, get this, see if you agree with me, of not only our people, but also our police. And I'm going to argue my point about how this enslaves our police as well, further down. This also hijacks our police by industry interests. Think lobbyists, think a ton of money, think lawmakers being influenced by them, passing laws that dictate how person-to-person interactions on the street will play out, right? It sets the stage for moral injury. We must ask what's getting extracted here. What is getting extracted? Could it be our humanity, our soul, or our ability to have relationships with ourselves and others within a living planet? I think that's what's happening. Okay, so I'm going to talk some numbers about police here. I'm going to make some statements that have some numbers. You can, chat GPT what I'm saying, ask for the research and find it all. I've read all this stuff. I just letting you know that you can find all this. A critical incident is a situation that is so bad, I liken it to a scene out of a horror movie. Okay? Critical incident. First responders absorb hundreds. Some research says 200. I've seen research that goes all the way up to 800. Think about this. Critical incidents into their nervous systems in an average career. Okay? Most people have somewhere around 5 exposures in their life. Think about a nervous system that has 200 in it. Okay? I'm seeing some head nods. You see where I'm going with this? You or your loved one dials 911 and a nervous system shows up that has 200 critical incidents driven into it. that person also works in an environment that's unsafe for them to talk about anything that shows weakness. Hold on to that. Okay. So this is where I say this is a highly traumatized group. Okay? And in many places, there is a military to police pipeline. Right? So soldiers become cops. I wonder what the trauma load is there. Right? See what happens to the numbers. So these people are carriers of what I call subclinical conditions. Because I think if you take the DSM, right, and all those challenges on there and make it a spectrum, I think most people can identify that they're on the spectrum somewhere with the challenges. Not so much, a lot, and then it becomes a diagnosis and you get a medicine. Tracking? I mean, we can all be sad or happy, right? But our sadness doesn't have to become full-fledged clinical depression, right? It's just one way of making sense of it. I've seen some research talk about it that way, which I agree with. So, subclinical depression, anxiety, disordered sleep, disordered eating, PTS. Why subclinical? It's unsafe to come out as a human being behind the badge. Your badge and firearm will be taken away from you, and then you won't be able to pay your bills, and your mortgage will, the bank will take your house, right? Tough stuff. So what do we have going on with our first responders, right? We have a beautiful relationship with cortisol and adrenaline, chronically activating the autonomic nervous system, right? So maybe getting stuck in fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Did you all read that? Is that why you were laughing the last one? Right? I learned this from a teacher of mine. He said it's more than 3, it's 5. One of them happens to be hypersexual. Yeah, right? This is having adverse effects on that first responder, on that first responder's life, on that first responder's family, friends, neighborhood, community. This is having adverse effects on policing and the way policing is done in our society. Here are some of the things that happens. Trauma spillover. I got to see how mine was happening when I was learning from the mushroom. The enforcer's delusion, that's from a research article. I think the title is The Clinician's Delusion. You start thinking everybody in the world is exactly like the people you continually work with every single day, right? That's kind of a messed up place to be stuck in. Divorce, divorce, divorce. Somebody earlier told me they love it when I use that in the slides, right? I go to trainings. The question is, what marriage are you on? And everyone's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not married. It's not funny. It's sad. It's painful. It's tragic. Short fuse and working through bias instead of being able to check bias, right? When you're a highly traumatized nervous system, you gotta work quick because you don't feel safe. And checking bias takes effort. And who the hell has the energy to do that? Right? This is gasoline to a match, right? And then we act so surprised that something tragic happened. That's been happening for decades. It's just now we're in the era of a smartphone and we can record some of that stuff. And I'm telling you right now, it's not only a tragedy for the civilian, it's a tragedy for the first responder and their family and their community. It's a mess. And we know how to help. We're talking about that in this symposium. But the first responders can't talk about it. They're muzzled. The first responders can't talk about it because they're dehumanized as well as they get programmed into the culture and have to operate within the laws. See what's going on? Into the grave we go. Into the grave we go. We die 5 to 10 years after retirement, a whole 10 to 20 years before our civilian brothers and sisters. We die by suicide 2 to 3 times the rate of our civilian brothers and sisters. We die by suicide more frequently than being attacked on the street. The burden of carrying the system. So we've been talking about this a lot today. I'm gonna try to name it for what it is. It's coming, right? So Schedule 1, we've been taught, many believe, highly addictive, no medical use. We have put Mother Earth and her teachers into a prison, just like we do our people and our police officers and first responders. I'm talking metaphorically. I'm talking symbolically. Think muzzle. Think no freedom to speak your mind, speak your heart, speak your suffering to get help. And think, can't think to do something outside the box whatsoever. Because then you're a criminal. Right? Plants, cacti, fungi, animal secretions, they're all put onto this schedule. They're all prohibited. It was done intentionally, with nefarious intent. We have to call it out, and we have to demand that Schedule 1 is done away with. I'm asking for your help with that. We need to lock hands and say enough is enough, because literally that's where Mother Earth is placed. That's where our civilian brothers and sisters are placed. The prohibition, that's the cage, the criminalization, and that's where our first responders are placed. They might not realize it. We might need to help them to wake up to this fact. And it's okay, because awakening is painful and it happens in stages, right? Why is the who up there? That's a reminder for me. Now, they didn't make that proclamation. It was done intentionally with nefarious intent. But when I was at the United Nations speaking, the World Health Organization said, we recognize that Schedule 1 isn't working. It's not scientific, and we're going to create a new scientific category. Right? I got excited. What has happened? We've lost decades. We've lost our people to cages and coffins when we didn't have to, right? We could have been establishing more of an evidence base for this stuff, right? When something's on Schedule 1, you can't have an evidence base. If there's an evidence base, you have pressure to change. We don't want that. We don't want that, right? Australia, who also does Western medicine, right? I think they use the same Western scientific approach, has said there's enough of an evidence base right now that it would be unjust to not allow their prescribers to provide psilocybin and MDMA. What's that about? What are we waiting for? What's preventing us from doing the right thing? Right? We used the category Schedule 1 to target people. It filled prisons up. It harmed us, moral injury plus. Right? We have moral injury plus that other slide I showed you. Destroying our first responders, leading to early death, right? Destroying trust between community and police, community that's over-policed, right? We use the category to protect and serve industry interests that hijacked and muzzled police. What do I mean by that? Right? If you want a relationship with cannabis, the door gets kicked in, you got a gun in your face, and you go to prison. Why? Because cannabis is medicinal and it helps you not have to see the doctor for about 100 things. Right? When you don't have to see the doctor for 100 things, you might not be put on 100 medications. We can't have that. Right? And we can't let our law enforcement smoke or eat or drink cannabis. God forbid, they might be happy, right? But they can get a liter of whiskey, a depressant that's also a carcinogen. I'm convinced that the intentionality behind this goes really deep, right? So let's give our first responders only access to a depressant. You saw that slide with all the research about the things they're struggling with, 200 plus critical incidents in their nervous system. That's also a carcinogen, right? They're going to get to retirement and they're going to get a pension, 50% of their pay, 60, 70, 80% of their pay, whatever it is. Dirty little secret. You're going to die in a couple years. No one wants to talk about this? Really? Is this protecting pharma? Maybe. I don't know. Am I a conspiracy theorist? I don't know. Am I creating an evidence base that's believable here? I think so, maybe, I hope. Does this keep the criminal justice system well-funded, just the way it is? I heard somebody say broken system. I heard some people say that. I say that. I'm not coming at you, but I want to challenge you to consider that the system is working exactly the way it was designed to work. I want to just bring that up, okay? Breaking people, caging people, breaking first responders, breaking vets. Where's the alcohol industry in this? Man, you see what's going on? In the next generation, they're drinking less. God forbid they make less than $1 billion a day. They're drinking less. Yeah, there's a cancer industry out there. They got some really good medications for cancer after you get cancer because you drank your whole life. Here's the short list that I wanted to touch upon that's on Schedule 1, and here's what's going on with it. No, iboga, what does it do? Breaks addiction. It offers extended reprieve from opioid use disorder. We need more of an evidence base. Wow. I think there's another way of creating knowledge. It's called indigenous. It's been going on for about 3,000 plus years, right? Mushrooms. What do mushrooms do? They help break pattern rumination and lift depression. Wow. That can last for months? Okay. Ketamine. Angie taught me this. Lift suicidality in minutes. Okay. Cannabis. There's that plant, right? How many years did we fill our prisons up full of black and brown people for cannabis? Non-violent cannabis-related crimes. No, it's a medicinal plant which helps a broad range of challenges. It's so broad, people make fun of it. How dare you? How dare you? 5-MeO-DMT, called the God molecule. DMT, something we have inside our bodies. It's on Schedule 1. We're all criminals. Is that the, what the fuck? And how about this one? MDMA, ecstasy. It pushes treatment-resistant severe PTSD into sustained remission. Phase 2 said 67% of the participants no longer qualified for the diagnostic label. They said no to this because they couldn't make sense of the good results. They said no to this after MAPS and Rick had consulted with them on the design for decades. They said we want another phase 3 clinical trial, $20 million. I don't even know what the numbers, it scares me, so many zeros. How many years is that going to take? How many first responders and civilians are going to die or stay on the PTSD medications for multiple years? What's going on? Okay, so I think the entire game was built upon a false pretense. right? What do you think? What do you think? I'm asking you here, fellow Psychedelic Symposium members, attendees. I'm asking you, civilians. I'm asking you, first responders. What do you think about this? And if you agree, for 1 minute, let yourself feel the feelings that come along with agreeing that we've done all of this under a false pretense. It's harmed you, your brothers, sisters, civilians, family, community, country, and planet. Think about that. And think about it, and then feel what it feels like to participate in that. I participate in it. I work as a law enforcement professional. It seriously activated me. It pushed me. It inspired me to become an advocate and an activist. What I want to do right now is inspire you. I hope I'm inspiring you. And if you're getting offended and triggered, email me. Let's talk. I might learn something. I might change from your perspective. I welcome it. Do we have enough time for a video? Do you guys want to see another video? I have 20 minutes, she said. Oh, okay. I was hoping it was 20 minutes. Okay, there's not enough time. But this is me at the State House speaking freely, honestly, openly about psychedelics and supporting question 4. Telling them about my experiences using these compounds, right? Whoa. Am I causing a rebellion here?
That just means that everybody has to put the chairs away with me.
Deal? All right. All right, let's do it. Video work. This was intense. We just had a rebellion. Distinguished leaders and lawmakers, my name is Sarko Gergerian. Thank you for allowing me to be here to speak in support of the upcoming ballot initiative related to psychedelics and psychedelic healing centers. I speak on my own behalf as a working police lieutenant and therapist, and as a speaker for the Law Enforcement Action Partnership, LEAP. LEAP is a nonprofit organization of police, prosecutors, judges, and other criminal justice professionals who speak from firsthand experience. Our mission is to make communities safer by focusing law enforcement resources on the greatest threats to public safety, working toward healing police-community relations, and addressing the root causes of crime. I have spent the good part of 15 years using police information to search for, find, and help people stay out of cages and coffins as a peace officer. I am a trained police peer on a critical incident stress team that supports our officers who carry the weight of the dark underbelly of our society on the backs of their shoulders. In these roles, with my unique educational and experiential background, as a clinical mental health counselor who has used psychedelics in legally protected contexts and spaces, I can tell you that our civilians, our police officers, and all first responders need access to psychedelics for psychospiritual religious wellness, self-care, capacity building, resilience expansion, and the treatment of mental health challenges. Here's why I believe this to be the case. A police officer will be exposed to over 200 critical incidents in an average career. A critical incident is a trauma that can send someone's life sideways after only one exposure. Can you imagine a nervous system with over 200 of these traumas loaded within it? This is not the exception. This exposure rate is the rule. We then act surprised when the officer explodes in anger or puts the barrel of their gun in their mouth and blows their head off, flies off the handle interacting with a civilian, or loses control during an argument at home. I'm here to tell you the responsibility of helping to prevent this is on us, all of us, the departments, the Commonwealth, our lawmakers, our unions, and you can be sure that we know psychedelics can help. We die by suicide at a rate 2 to 3 times higher than our civilian counterparts. We die by suicide more frequently than attack on the street. We know psychedelics can help. We survive our careers with subclinical PTSD, depression, and anxiety, which leads to death 5 to 10 years after retirement. We're all fighting to get to retirement, to enjoy our pensions, and we die 5 to 10 years after we get out. This is 10 to 20 years before our civilian brothers and sisters. Psilocybin helps interrupt the patterned rumination so distinct to unshakable severe depression. Many of the psychedelics lift anxiety of all types, but imagine that they even help remove existential dread associated with death and dying itself. We know psychedelics can help. As a trained psychedelic-assisted therapist through the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies, I was afforded access to psychedelics through a federally sanctioned research protocol. Yes, I ingested psychedelics in a legally protected context and space. The protocol was approved for healthy normals, because I'm an example of what it means to be a healthy normal person. That's a joke. We know psychedelics are safe when experiments on healthy normal people are allowed by the federal government. Psychedelics are also recognized. They're recognized as sacred sacraments by the federal government, yet they remain on Schedule 1. We need to make sure we're clear on something. We're not in a psychedelic epidemic of overdose and death. What we are in is a medication-associated catastrophe of overdose and death. The plants, cacti, fungi, and animal secretions, the psychedelics, are not taking our beloveds. Pharmaceutical medications like fentanyl and methamphetamine are. Yes, the overdose death crisis taking over 100,000 of our brothers and sisters every year is directly, not indirectly, directly connected to medications, not psychedelics. And believe me, the psychedelics are available. A researcher indicated to me that in the UK, multiple hundreds of thousands of doses of psychedelics are used every weekend in nightclubs. They are here too. No one is dying from them. There has never been this type of catastrophic emergency associated with psychedelics, and you can be sure of the fact that there never will be. But we will grab one or two outlier situations and amplify it in the media to the point where there's hysteria about access for adults who need these things. I call on you to undo the confounding of the psychedelics with the medications. Medications that have known side effects of addiction, overdose, and death. Let's unravel and separate the two and give it the nuanced attention that it deserves, because our people need that. This keeps the psychedelics on the unscientific Schedule 1. I'm not the first person who indicated that. I might be the one who called it out so strongly, who we've heard from today. While keeping these things on Schedule 1 is doing nothing to keep our people safe from these medications that I'm talking about. But what it does do is it blocks access to the helpful psychedelics while allowing access to toxic, highly addictive medications that are killing our people. This is a tragedy of epic proportions. Here's what I experienced while working with psychedelics in a legally protected context and space. I woke up. I woke up to how much of my life is built through and influenced by transgenerational trauma. Trauma that didn't even occur to me directly. As a descendant of survivors of the Armenian genocide, which was perpetrated by the Ottoman Turks in 1915, it has become very clear how every aspect of my personal and professional life was influenced by the associated trauma in my psyche. The Ottoman Turks systematically eradicated 75% of the indigenous Armenians from their ancient lands through murder and rape. This event shaped every aspect of my life, up to and including growing up in Chelsea to immigrant parents as a first-generation American Armenian with Greek ancestry, wanting to protect and serve people as a police officer and clinical mental health counselor. I can tell you that the realizations that occurred in one day, would have taken a lifetime of therapy without the psychedelics' power to enhance the process. Psychedelics will finally help talking as a healing modality live up to its aspirational goal of being a talking cure. I was able to directly experience numinous love. This is stuff we read about in the scriptures. I didn't have to read it or hear about it from another person. I was able to directly experience it. Deep gratitude and multi-directional perspective for all the experiences, good and bad, that made me who I am today. This started releasing the grip genocide had on me, thereby positively impacting everybody else who is connected to me. I transcended the experiences and could see the narrative from an entirely different perspective, a perspective I didn't have access to without psychedelics. I no longer need to believe that psychedelics can help. I know psychedelics help, and I hope one day you will too. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of this important ballot initiative. I deeply appreciate it. Thank you. Couple more slides, I'm going to be really quick. Thank you, guys. We need to decriminalize our civilians, our first responders, our experts, that's for military, our veterans, our planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, and our God. Your God, our God. Decriminalize nature. That's me in Canada. That's a store. There's a police cruiser sitting up the street, just waiting for an emergency call to answer. They're selling 6, 7, 8, 9 strains of mushrooms in the store and DMT. Yes, Ontario. Yeah, we might have to go there, no? Spend our money in Canada. This is from my daughter. We can change the world if we link up. Go talk to your lawmakers, go together. Swarm them. Swarm them in a loving way. Circle around them, right? This is nonviolent act. Right? Nonviolent action. Go, talk. Talk to people who have a different perspective than you. That's the only way we change. Thank you.